Hi guys, I am Nu-Trix the Synth Guy, and actually, hey, even my shirt says saying it. I'm Nu-Trix the Synth Guy. If you're interested in these shirts or hoodies, stuff like that, look in the link below. Now, today we're talking about Applied Acoustic System. You know them. You know Applied Acoustic System. You know their stuff. If you use Live Suite at all, you know there's a bunch of bundled synth and synthesizer that are actually made from AAS, Applied Acoustic System. These guys are based in Montreal, and these people talk about acoustics reality simulated by algorithms. That's what they're running on. They're really, enthralled by this, creating acoustics but in a simulated way. Right now, they came up with a version 3 of their sub-synth that recreates analog synthesis. It's called VA-3, which is the ultra analog or virtual analog. The version 3 add a nice little thing on top of what already existed from a nice virtual synthesizer. The V2 was already a good one. Now the V3 adds the layer concept, something that I have on the JP8000 here, something that you have in a lot of synthesizer, and basically it's a package of two V2 ultra analog synthesizer you can use in layer, one on top of the other, so you have two synthesizers playing at the same time, or you can use it in split, so you have a sound for the bass, a sound for the lead. So when I look at how they approach it, my feeling is that this is for them really aimed at the performer, the guy who plays the keyboard, maybe live, and wants to have a bass line and a lead. But it's also very good in studio and very powerful creating a soundscape, because when you layer the two of them, you have two very powerful synthesizers. Now let's go into it and look at all the features, because it's actually a pretty powerful virtual synth. First of all, I have this window here, which is a setup window, and I set up my circuit as a sequencer to trigger the ultra analog. So if I play something here, if I go here, I'll play this, and I'm going to mute everything else, put my headphones, and we should hear something. Okay, if I slow down the tempo, okay, just this one. Look at this sound playing. Okay. I can stop this for now. So what I have here, well, the setup is just basic stuff, the MIDI input, the sample rate, the buffer size, the audio out, basic stuff. The first window is home. For me, it's kind of a weird window because it's something that you only have like very limited control, like modulation, timbre, envelope, and effect. And you can actually assign controllers to these four. So modulation wheel for modulation, pitch wheel for the pitch, timbre could be assigned whatever control you want. So basically, this is aimed, that's why I'm saying this is really aimed at a musician who wants to play live, and you only have a controller with four knobs. And honestly, for most people, when you play, this is enough, because with four knobs, you've got pitch, modulation, filter, you control the envelope, or whatever it is you want. But these are the four you have control, and you can assign whatever control from your controller to it, so it does what you want. So it's a very simple window. You can have a keyboard, you can hear the sound right away, but you don't have the browser. You can't browse sounds and pick the one you want. So then there's another one called browser. I don't understand why these are two different windows. In my book, the browser should have, which you have on the home page, the bottom line here, pitch, modulation, timbre, envelope, and effects, and the keyboard should be in the browser window, and that would be just one window. The browser is the home page, because you select the sound you want, you play it, done deal. So if somebody is just looking for banks of sound to play great sounds, that would be the place, because right now if you play it, You don't have that window anymore. So I have to go back into, I don't know, I'm going to go into this here. I'm going to, oh, this is a hi-hat. It's a hi-hat. It's a kick. So these are the browser. You can actually go through the different sounds. Some of the sounds are very spacey, sci-fi sound. Well, like anything that is virtual analog, you can do it. You have packs that you can load. You have the Ultra Analog Legacy pack, and you've got from the VA-2, because this is, as I said earlier, 2 VA-2 combined into one package. Or you have the factory library from VA-3. Okay, so you've got these sounds you can play with. You can load or browse by sounds. You have categories like that, creators. If you're looking something from Gotham or Eric Thibault, and then or whatever it is, you click on it, then so you can play it right away. You can create your own stuff. That would be a user in that case. Okay, so let's go back to browser, and let's just pick like a simple one just to start from scratch. Do you have something, play a low note? Now these are interesting. That one has almost a sequencer in it. Whereas the other ones, like, I don't know, this one, Arpeggiator, and this one, you've got just a normal, you can just play. Let's go into the editor. First, before going to the editor, let's go into settings. Settings is general stuff about the patch itself. You have how many voices you want to use. Now, every time you play the keys, you'll see at the bottom here, you've got a percentage showing you how much or little that patch is taking memory or CPU percentage. So you can bring that down by using less voices. Right now it says 16, I could say 8, and that'll be more than enough for me for now. You can tune it, you can add the controllers that you saw on the first home page, you can assign it to something here. You can say the pitch bend can be controlled by whatever controller you have. So this is just the basic stuff, like the priority of the note. If you're in monophonic mode, which note will take over? You have last note played that takes over. The highest note is the one that has priority, or the lowest note. So this is really useful in monophonic mode or in legato mode. And this mimics some old school synthesizers. So depending which one you want to recreate, you would have to change that to make it real or realistic. Now let's go into the really cool window, the one called editor. In the editor window, that's where you see all the magic happen. You have all the parameters to create your own sound, and basically you have 2 VA-2. So ultra analog, virtual analog 2 built into this thing. So you've got the mode, the first one, you've got the synth window, you've got the effect window, that's for layer A, and you have the same thing, the modes, synth, effect for layer 2 or B, and then you've got the effect, which is global effects. Our global effects you can actually use everywhere else. So let's go into mode, the first one. That's where you can actually tune it. You can say it's a polyphonic or monophonic. You can actually use a clock. You can tap or change the rate, so the tempo. So there's an arpeggiator on this one if you want to use it. If you turn it on here, actually here, turn it on. So you can use it, and if there's a latch mode, the L, take it off, it stops. So all of these sections like unison, you turn it on and off, and when you turn it on, where now you have here in unison, you can say I'm going to have 4 of them. I want them to be tuned. So really powerful to that big sound. I'm going to get rid of the effects for now. So I'm going to go here. No, they're actually off, so it's not the effect. So this is it. and I'm going to turn off the delay and the chorus. So you have the original sound here. So these are macros. Again, this window is for the arpeggiator at the bottom here. And because you can actually say, I'm not going to use that note, I'm not going to use that one. So you press and turn it on. So you're going to have. So you're just saying which note's going to be playing. So it's, you know, very simple and efficient. And you have the order for forward, backward, random. What's the random? So there's different ways of using the arpeggiator. So it's pretty nice, pretty efficient. Let's go back here, take off the legato mode. You have all these controls are what you expect out of an analog synthesizer. Let's take off the unison mode because I want to hear the raw sound. Let's go into synth. On top of it, just to be sure, you get the layer itself, you get the volume of this layer. You have the panning of this. So if you have two sounds, you could pan them if you want. Mute or solo, and control of the synth layer A. You have VCO1 and VCO2. Now there's two little things I want to show you. Just at the top right, there's these three little dots. You can copy, you can load and save settings of the VCO1. So what's cool about this is you can actually set it up and copy it on the second one, or each of them. If you look at the top right, you have this thing you can actually copy, load, and save. So it's really easy to, in a modular fashion, save part of it, the sound, and use it somewhere else. Let's go back to the VCO1. VCO1 and VCO2, you have at the bottom a little kind of a, I don't know, it looks like an iPad for me. You click on it and you open up a window. You have a little bit more control here. So you have very limited amount of choices. You've got sine wave, sawtooth, square, and noise. But to be honest, that's what you have on an analog synth. So they decided to make it feel and react like a Moog or a Novation, but that's what you should have in analog synth. So you have the square. Okay, so I've got my square. And you have, when you open this up, actually when you select square, you've got the pulse width modulation you can use. Pretty nice. You have noise. When you have noise, pulse width doesn't work. Sawtooth, should be surprised it doesn't work. That's the right thing. You get key tracking and detuning, so you can actually have the key tracks, and when you go up, it's just 1 octave equals 1 octave. If you go 1 octave equals 2 octave, and you can have some freaky way to react in this. You get semitone, octave. You have a sub. You can hear the sub oscillator at the bottom. And you have a hard sync. So if you had a hard sync, the sub oscillator becomes synced to the sawtooth, or the wave of the VCO. So basically it's like having two oscillators in this one, either doing hard sync, which create a lot more character in the sound. That's nice, and it glows really nice. I like the movement in it. You don't have artifacts going shriek in the high frequencies. So very nice. So you have the VCO1, and if you look at VCO2, surprise, it's the same thing, which is again very much what you expect out of an analog synth. So they want to recreate that feeling, so you have the same logic here. Okay, same thing. Then you've got the mix window. Actually, if you look at the whole thing here, you have this little one at the side, and basically it shows you that everything you see here is for the VCO1. If you click a second one, this is all for VCO2. You can turn on the filter, you can change stuff like that. If you look at VCO, if you click on one now, different memory. So these are two parallel, I would say parallel circuit that you have, and we're still in only layer 1, layer A. you can mix the two VCOs together plus the noise, another one, because it's not using the VCO 1 and 2. So you can use the two VCO combined with the noise, and then they go into a filter that is over here. Actually, you get low pass, band pass, notch filter, high pass, formant 1 and 2, and ladder filter. And you have the different type of order that goes with that, knowing that 4 is a 24 dBs per octave and 2 is a 12 dB per octave. So depending on the synth you want to mimic, recreate, play around with the right features so you have the right sound. And then you've got, of course, the cutoff frequency and how much the envelope controls it. The envelope is just beside it. Again, if you click on it, you have a little bit of control. You can say if it's exponential or by default linear. It's going to be re-triggered. Is it free? Is it looped? If it looped, basically the LFO, actually the envelope kind of becomes a weird LFO. It goes the envelope shape and then goes back and then re-triggered every time. So you get this really cool. That's it. Okay, so you have this happening. Attack the sustain and it goes back. Or attack the key release and it goes back. Okay, so again, what you expect out of an analog synth. You have the resonance, you can also drive it, so it distorts, and there's different simulation of how it distorts, symmetrical or asymmetrical, so they all have their own sound. And then you have an LFO that can be assigned to different destinations. You assign it to the pulse modulation, to the detune for the VCO, you can assign it to the filter, cutoff, and resonance, you can assign it to the volume and the pan. So it's pretty dense, and the options are pretty nice here. And again, the shapes, even glitch, which is a nice little one. You can sync it or not. You can play with the phase. You can have a delay. All the stuff that you expect out of a synth. Then you have the amplitude envelope here, and again, same look and feel as the filter envelope. So what you expect is all there. Then you get a VCA1 and VCA2 gain. So these are two volume, because when you look at this, you're looking at the one right now. You click on the other one, you're looking at the second one. So that's kind of the final volume with VCA1 and VCA2. And all of this is one layer. Then you have this again for the layer 2. So you can have a very massive sound made of like 2 layers of these sounds. So you can create these really big sounds, or you can split them in half and say on one side I've got a bass, the other one I've got a pad, and you can use the two of them. Remember, you can play 16 or actually 32 notes. So you can keep for the bass monophonic if you want. You put it in legato mode and put it in monophonic, and on the other part you can play up to, well, 15. Actually, if you have 32, did you say 32? Am I wrong? You can go up to 32. So yeah, you can say bass is only 2 notes and 30 notes are for the pads. So it's just a massive sound you can play with this. So let's go back to editor. Again, you got, where we're in synth. After synth, you've got effects. And effects, you've got an equalizer, a compressor, a delay. Actually, the delay, the equalizer and compressor, you can just turn it on and you can use them. But when you go into delay mode, you can actually select what you want. You can want distortion, phaser, a vintage chorus. All of them have been, simulation or created as a simulator of a actual device. So they sound really nice. I still have my envelope here. I'm gonna go back here, turn this one off. You also have, that's it, auto wah, notch filter, equalizer, compressor, guitar amplifier, reverb, and tremolo. So it's very wide, and you can just stack them up to a maximum of, the 2 first one are not changeable. I mean, you can't not load something else. You can change these 2 in the middle, the vintage Actually, these are kind of multiple selectable if you want. And the last one is always reverb. Okay. Now you can change the order. So, well, compressor is going to be after this, or compressor is going to be in the middle, or EQ is going to be there, or reverb is going to be the first one, whatever it is. You can change the whole layout of this, and you can save again this setting as a memory. So that's also really powerful for that. Then you do the same thing for the second one. And when you go to effect, the last one, these are just the master effects that everybody goes through again. So I think it's going to be, if you use effects on the two separately plus the master effect, it might be too much, of course. But depending on how you create your sound, it's all there, all available. So that's it. That's really how you go through the whole thing. Now let's listen to sounds so you have an idea of what you can do with this, you know. You might ask yourself, how do you use this one? Well, this one it's actually an arpeggio. If you look at the editor, let's just turn this one off. So this is the one playing. The other one is. So two arpeggiators. Okay. This one is a sine wave, plus there's probably noise in there somewhere. There's noise here. And you've got noise and the hi-hat. So these are the two sounds playing. And depending what it plays, you get your sound. That's it. Whereas the other one, so it's really cool. Let's try another one. You can click here for just that's where you see the split mode. That's where you see the split mode be used. You have on the right side kind of a Jupiter sound, and the left side you've got your bass line that is an arpeggiator. So that's pretty cool if you go like whatever it is. So right now I'm playing on this circuit, but you can have your two hands playing. So that's a cool feature here. So now my battery just died on this one. Okay, let's try another one. Yeah. There's a lot of atmospheric sound at think they have this vision of you can use it for texture for film and games and stuff like that, or just the style of music that goes with that. But there's also these noisy one. Let's go back to browser. So again, there's so many sounds. I could go to all of them, but and so you have in the factory library 560 sounds. Some of these are more sound effects at one point. And we got the legacy from Applied Acoustic System from the VA-2, sorry, from the VA-2. So there's plenty of cool sound in there, and honestly, if you're into having something very portable, because it's in your laptop, you don't need any hardware, and that's what you're looking for, and you're looking for something that sounds analog and have a wealth of options, because it doesn't do everything. It does mimic analog synthesizer. That's what it does. It does it really well, and plus you've got on top of that all the effects, and the fact you can have 4 of them, actually 2 layers of 2 on top of each other or beside each other. It's just a massive, very cool synth that mimics a lot of other things that exist in the past without telling you it is. It can do a lot of things. So if you're in the market for a virtual analog plugin, I think that Ultra Analog has to be looked at, because it is one of the very great contenders for virtual analog that sounds analog on your computer. That's it. If you like what I'm doing, thumb up and share it with your friends. And again, if you like Nu-Trix and you want to have a shirt, go on this online store and buy a shirt if you want to. If not, well, I still like you. See you next time. Cheers.